Here's a weird thought. You're watching this video right now, but you don't know if I'm a good person. Maybe I cheat on my taxes. Maybe I lie to my friends. Maybe I kick puppies. You don't know. And yet, here you are, listening to me. So let me ask, if I said something that changed your life, would it matter if I was a bad person? Most people say yes, because we love to moral filter our advice. If they're good, the advice must be good. If they're bad, delete, block, cancel. It's like we're out here judging fire extinguishers based on their personality. Oh no, this one has commitment issues. Let's burn. I used to be like this. Still am sometimes, especially with politics. Someone from that side says something smart, instant brain rejection. Ugh, can't believe I almost agreed with them. But then someone on my side says something dumb, and I'm like, well, they meant well. Double standard much? Here's the harsh truth. Some people you hate are right, and some people you love are wrong. But our tribal brain can't handle that. It wants neat categories. Good guy equals truth. Bad guy equals lies. Simple, safe, wrong. Because truth doesn't care about your categories. It doesn't care about your side. It just is. And if you ignore it because of who said it, that's on you. I had this moment with a politician I despise, can't stand him. Everything about him makes me twitch. But one day, he said something that was undeniably true about the people I usually support, and I felt it, that little punch in the gut. Not because he was wrong, but because he wasn't. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just sat there, staring, thinking, crap, he's right. And I hate that he's right. But that was a wake-up call. Not about him. He's still terrible. It was about me, and how often I let my pride get in the way of progress. You ever ignore good advice because of who it came from? An ex? A parent? A former friend? Someone who hurt you? Disappointed you? Embarrassed you? And yet, even in all their flaws, they dropped a gem. And your ego batted it away like, no thanks, I only take advice from angels. Let me give you a mental model that helped me stop doing that. It's called message over messenger. Simple idea. When someone gives you advice, pause. Forget who said it. Just ask, is it true? Is it useful? If yes, take it. If no, leave it. That's it. It's like finding a gold coin in the mud. Do you walk past it because it's dirty? Or do you pick it up, clean it off, and let it change your life? I get it. We want wisdom to come from wise people. That feels better, makes it easier to trust. But real life is messy. Sometimes the truth shows up wearing a villain costume. Still truth, though. Some of the best advice I've received came from people I would never invite to dinner. A boss I hated, a friend who betrayed me, a YouTuber I disagreed with 90% of the time. But that last 10%, straight fire. And when I finally started accepting advice based on its content, not the character of the source, everything shifted. I started learning faster, healing faster, leveling up. Because growth doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for a perfectly wrapped message from a perfect person. Sometimes, growth sneaks in through the back door, wearing a disguise, speaking in a voice you don't like. So here's the twist. What if the advice you need has already been given, but you rejected it because it came from someone bad? What if your breakthrough is trapped inside your bitterness? I'm not saying trust everyone. I'm not saying forgive monsters. I'm saying learn from everyone, even the ones who failed you, especially them, because failure teaches too, and so do flawed people. So next time you hear something smart from someone you can't stand, pause, breathe, ask, is this true? That's all. Forget the face, focus on the fact. Forget the ego, follow the evidence. Forget the past, grab the lesson. Truth doesn't need a halo. It just needs a listener. And if you're brave enough to listen to what stings, that's when the real growth begins. So yeah, maybe I'm a bad person. Or maybe I'm not. You don't know me. But if I just said something that made you think, maybe that's enough. Before we wrap up, I got a weird little bonus for you. Let's talk about some of history's most terrible people who, annoyingly, were actually right about something. Because once you start noticing it, it's everywhere. And yeah, it's the kind of thing that makes your brain go, ugh, why do you have to be right about this? Machiavelli, political schemer, exiled from power, master manipulator, wrote The Prince, a book so cunning it's still taught in politics and business 500 years later. Some think it's a guide to being ruthless. Others say it's a warning about ruthless people. Either way, the truth inside it sticks. If you want to win the game, you have to understand how the game is really played. And no, you don't have to like the game. But pretending it's not happening doesn't make you any less of a pawn. Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientific minds in history, and famously petty. He feuded with other scientists, took credit for work that wasn't entirely his, and even tried to ruin rivals. But he gave this gem: "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Meaning, you don't have to start from scratch. Learn from those who came before you, even if they're not perfect. Kind of ironic, coming from someone who wasn't great at giving credit. It's like hearing a chronic latecomer tell you the importance of being on time, and still being right. Ty Cobb, baseball legend, record breaker, and one of the most disliked players in the sport's history, known for his temper, fights, and even sharpening his cleats to intimidate opponents. Yet, his batting technique is still taught to players more than a century later. The man was a menace, but you can't deny he knew how to hit a ball. Imagine learning to bake from the guy who threw a pie at you last week. Awkward, but still the best pie you've ever tasted. Thomas Edison, prolific inventor, brilliant businessman, and ruthless competitor. He blocked rivals, claimed other people's ideas, and wasn't afraid to crush the competition. But his advice? Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Translation: you can dream big, but you'd better outwork everyone else. Not bad coming from someone who built over 1,000 patents, even if a few were borrowed from his rivals. John McEnroe, tennis legend, champion, and the king of temper tantrums. He screamed at umpires, smashed rackets, and made "you cannot be serious" a global catchphrase. But here's the thing, he wasn't totally wrong. Sometimes you have to call out bad calls in life, even if you look ridiculous doing it. Speaking up can change the game. See the pattern? Wisdom doesn't always wear a friendly face. Sometimes it shows up dressed like the villain in your story. And if you slam the door just because of who's knocking, you might miss something that could change everything. What if we only took advice from perfect people? The self-help industry would collapse overnight. Every leadership seminar would vanish, and half of Grandma's wisdom would disappear, including the part where she told you never go to bed angry right after yelling at Grandpa for 3 hours straight. We'd probably have to replace self-help books with coloring books and hope for the best. Chapter 1, Stay Inside the Lines. Inspirational stuff. And I've learned this the hard way. I once ignored solid advice from someone I couldn't stand. She was nagging me to triple-check a contract before signing. I didn't. 2 months later, I spotted a tiny clause that cost me thousands and 3 weekends of unpaid work. And yes, I spent one of those weekends questioning all my life choices, preferably over stale instant noodles. Now, I read every line, no matter who the warning comes from. So here's your challenge. This week, get advice from at least one person you don't like. Write it down. Test it. See if you find gold where you least expect it. And yeah, maybe double-check it's not the kind of advice that ends with you in jail, bankrupt, or crying into a jar of pickles. Good advice should improve your life, not blow it up.